Gamer's Garage.
Can't stop the train, baby. Woo!
Alright everybody, welcome to the 8th round of the Losers Bracket. We've got a very special episode for you today. We got Paul Brewer from the World Cyber Games coming on the show. And right now we're going to kick it off with some MLG news. Ryan, there's some bracket news. You want to share it with us?
Yeah, because they finally got it right. They finally changed their championship brackets to make it a tournament that I've been wanting for the 3 years I've been following MLG. They finally made it so it's like March Madness. So 8 plays 9, 1 plays the last seeded team, and so on and so forth. They finally made it so that they actually have to play it legitly, not just this random babble bullshit.
You know, not to pick on Major League Gaming, but only Major League Gaming can make an announcement to say, guess what, everybody? We figured out that pro sports, the way they do it right. What a surprise.
I do still have some stuff that I hate about this, such as I believe it's the top 12 seeded teams automatically get a bye into the second round of the winners bracket.
Yeah, I don't get the whole, the 4 open, so now 4 open bracket teams come in, right? So that's the bottom part, and then I suppose they're going to take on the 13 to 16th seed. So I'm guessing 4 open teams play seed 13, 14, 15, 16. So those would be that. After that first round of the winners bracket, it goes into 1 through 12. And there's an Excel spreadsheet, I think, somewhere in the MLG forums that shows all this if you want to look at it.
Yep.
But it's definitely a step up from quadrant randomization crap they had last season, when I think it was some idiot on the foot. It was probably one of the tools there, Puckett or somebody, making an argument about tennis or golf. They know what the heck is going on. Seriously. But yeah, it's nice to see they finally caught up to the 21st century that everybody else seems to, be living in, and say, yeah, we're going to do a traditional bracket structure, which I'm very proud of them. I really am. I really am proud of them.
I mean, as proud as you can be, it's still just not like you were saying, a golf tournament or a tennis tournament where the 1-seeded teams play the worst-seeded team that comes out of qualifying. Obviously, this would require a lot more tournaments, which they're starting to get with the MLG Combines for the Halo 3 tournaments, but I guess they can't do it for every game, so they're just going to do it this way until they become bigger, I guess. I don't know. That's what she said.
I guess.
I think one of the neatest things that they're doing with this switching that they're doing is that amateur teams can no longer be eliminated with 1 loss like they were in the past. No team can be eliminated from the competition without losing at least 2 matches. That's a pretty big change.
That's interesting. That's like double elimination, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's I don't know. A real bracket tournament?
I am so tired, and this is not going to be my rant, but I'm so tired of people who suck off Major League Gaming. Oh my God, they're the only thing going on. You know what? They're not the only thing going on. And if this is the only thing that's going on in gaming, we're in serious trouble. But, maybe hiring 2 people, 2 AOL flunkies to come over, maybe it's between the 2 of them, they have a full brain and they said, hey, to this really sharp staff that does quadrant randomization and words that are bigger than the average IQ of the MLG staff, let's just do pro sports does and have a traditional bracket. So maybe somebody there has finally gotten a clue, which would make me really happy. Oh, by the way, speaking of clue, I got banned from the Game Battles forums. Did I tell you guys this?
No.
I did too, Jerry.
What?
Did you get banned for?
I got banned for advertising.
Well, here's the funny thing. I don't think they had a category for why I got banned. You know this?
No. What was it?
All right, so there's some guy on the MLG forums, the GB forums. To be very specific, this is the GB forums, right? Somewhere in there, they were talking about something related to Gears of War, and in a forum post, I said something to the effect, like I said, VV Gaming is more than happy to host a tournament, and we have the staff to do it properly. And this kid named Ford a Week, like Ford Daweak, he's like the GB forum manager. And looking at his GB profile, he's like some college student, you know. He gives me this. Ready? This is the part that killed me. He goes, if you want to be unbanned, you should think hard and write to us a proper apology, which ensures us you have a newfound enlightenment of the forum rules. And I thought to myself,
Nah, I'm good.
You know what? Thanks. But so I figure, well, I'm not going to lose this opportunity, right? Because, you know, he can't resist but flex his muscle, right? So I'm like, I said, you know, to make this clear, you want me to write an apology. Now, what exactly am I apologizing for? And who do you want this apology sent to? Just to be sure that I fully understand. And he writes like this, you know, he's like the Zen master. Those answers will come to you when you think about it. Read your post and look where it was posted. If I walked into your place of business and told your customers I could do better, would you react differently? Please send another ticket when you are ready to talk about the issue, not the ban. And it's like, ooh, Zen Master, I get excited about this. Playing along because I have to. I'm like, okay, so what would you like to discuss? Since you don't want to discuss the ban, I suppose you want to discuss my comment? And then he gets all like, you know, because he doesn't realize he's being toyed with yet, right? He's like, okay, I'll spell it out for you. We want to know why you did it, why it was wrong, and why you would not do so again in the future. Please do not continue with the series of rhetorical questions or the ticket will be closed without a response. And I thought he is using big words for GB staff, newfound enlightenment, rhetorical questions. Actually, I didn't think my questions by definition were rhetorical, but I didn't want to get into that with him, right? I was like, that's fine. But what really cracked me up is I finally decided, let's see, why don't I just push this button? So I'm like, this is so cute. It's like a grade school exercise. Let's see if I can pass your assignment. So I put why I did it, which is because I wanted to provide the community with options. Wrong? Well, because you said it's wrong. You said you felt I was walking into your place of doing business and telling your customers that we could do it better. I clearly see the forum as a place for criticism and discussion, but it is clear you did not. Why I won't do it again? Gee, it seems like a waste of our time if I do, no? But I was being honest with them, right? If I do it again, you'll ban me. I'll put in a ticket. You'll respond to my ticket. And I guess that answer upset him because he came back with the ban will not be lifted at this time because you clearly have not yet learned from your mistake.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, I am glad that Adam, whatever his name is, Ford a Week, I would love to have him on this podcast. Now, I know the answer knows him personally. So this is a call to anybody listening. If you can get the great, brilliant Adam Ford a Week on this show, I would love to know how it benefits Game Battles to have me, the owner of VVV Gaming, quote-unquote banned. Because I'd love to discuss things like enlightenment, rhetorical questions, and, you know, the nature of a proper apology. Because nothing humors me more than having a kid appear as if, I'm going to show you how things are done. Okay, sunshine, you do that. Now that we've got the brackets fixed, can we fix this kid?
MLG's going to fix one thing at a time. Come on.
You're probably right. I'm probably asking for a lot. We've got a long show ahead of us for everybody, so I know we want to get into the Paul Brewer interview. So let's not waste any time. What's up and coming now is my interview with Paul Brewer, where Paul Brewer from the World Cyber Games sits down with us and talks about all things esports. All right, everybody. Well, this week on the Losers Bracket, we are both honored and privileged to have Paul Brewer from the World Cyber Games here. And I know that Paul's time is valuable, so I want to welcome you, Paul. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And I, too, am honored. It's good to finally get this to come to fruition.
Well, thank you so much. Well, let's start out with a little bit about you and your work with the World Cyber Games. Sort of tell the audience who may not be familiar with you, your position, how long you've been with the World Cyber Games, and a bit of their history, sort of the marketing spiel about the WCG, which we're always very happy to promote because of the quality of the events. So all you, Paul.
Well, first of all, thanks to the VV for the work that you guys have done. I know you guys have been great in helping us spread the word for some of our smaller events. And of course, you guys are always there for our big events too. So I'm actually a 4-year veteran. I'm the ancient person for WCG USA. I've been here since the start, and I'm actually the last one standing, so to speak. We've seen a lot of people come and go. And I've literally done it all. I started out, doing prize fulfillment when I first came in. We ran a little tournament, and I was just kind of an assistant, and I was sending out Intel processors and things like that to some of our winners. and now I'm kind of heading up all the online tournaments and all of our LAN events and trying to make sure we get people like VVV to all of our events. So do a lot of the marketing stuff and obviously working with all of our sponsors, and I've even started venturing into some new business sales type stuff, which is not really part of my background, but definitely interesting in the gaming space. So it's been a wild ride with WCG, and I'm still happy to be a part of it, actually, so it's good.
I mean, as you mentioned sponsors, you guys have great partners like Samsung, for example, which has been sort of, a namesake with the World Cyber Games. Why don't we take a moment to review some of the partners that work with the WCG so that our audience gets a chance to know some of the great names and products that allow the World Cyber Games to do what it does.
You hit it on the head, Jerry, with Samsung. I think the first and biggest name that comes to mind is always them. They've kind of been our lifeblood for the last 10 years, actually, and they've actually been really helpful in opening doors to some of our other partners, Xbox 360, and we've worked with and are working with Dell and Alienware, and it's always been very good working with some of the endemics in the industry. We work with Intel and AMD and Dustoff, and even small technology companies like Ambiex. We've done some things with some small energy drinks. I think the next step is kind of going mainstream, working with energy drinks, bigger energy drinks, Red Bull and things like that. And we're even starting to talk to some more mainstream partners. With the Ultimate Gamer Show, we've got some people interested coming from the automotive industry, things like that, and snack foods and things like that. So we've been fortunate to maintain Samsung, of course, but we've been lucky to be able to bring on new partners and show some brands that might not otherwise be in gaming, what gaming can do for them.
Yeah, it sounds like that Ultimate Gamer ended up being a really great success, bringing together reality TV sort of format and gaming. And I mean, it was really been interesting. I know our very own, VV Mrs. Violence, she's been, nothing but really positive and glowing about her experience in Ultimate Gamer. If you don't mind me asking, how did this idea first form and then sort of develop to become a reality?
It was kind of a project based around, Samsung and WCG looked at some of the other successful stories within sports and youth lifestyle, UFC and NFL, and some of the things that they've done behind broadcast television, and even, in the case of UFC with some of the reality series stuff. And they decided that, if there's not a way, kind of like World Series of Poker, to really show, a live event on television, there may be a way to bring it to television, where an audience would watch. So, a big group of people were involved from WCG side, but for the most part, I think most of the credit needs to go to the producers, the same guys that did Last Comic Standing, I believe Project Runway. They're the guys that they come up with, kind of conceptualize the real life challenges and the the gaming aspect of it, and they came up with a successful show. It's sort of Survivor style, American Idol style. It may not be on that level yet, but it's been very successful. So the producers, I think, deserve the majority of the credit. Samsung obviously got the ball rolling, but they're the ones that really made something happen. So it's been great for WCG and for gaming too, I think. So we're happy with it, and that's why we're going to move to a second season in 2010.
Well, I would agree that I think anything that we can have that helps mainstream the culture of gaming is really important, because it seems everybody games, but not everybody has a space or a culture in which they can sort of share their identity. And to have something, on a major cable channel like Ultimate Gamer, I think is really fantastic, which I guess kind of brings us to Ultimate Gamer 2. It sounds from the interviews I've seen with you earlier that it's going to be bigger and better this year, possibly international. What can you tell us here? Maybe some things for the first time about Ultimate Gamer 2 that is going to make this year bigger and better.
So I obviously don't want to get into too much trouble. A lot of it's still under wraps, but it looks like, a lot of the contractual issues and some of the things that have been holding us back are going to be finalized real soon. yeah, some of the things that we're definitely looking to do is integrate Ultimate Gamer more with the WCG event side. There's definitely talks of filming, the last episode, the championship episode, at the grand final in Los Angeles. That's definitely an idea that's floating around right now. Obviously, we're going to have a much bigger pool of people to choose from when it comes to casting. I think the word's out there a lot more now, and there's been a lot of international interest with pickup, in some countries in Europe and Asia and Australia. And I think we're going to see, some of these international gamers, show up for the casting calls and us look to be a little bit more diverse with the casting itself. And then obviously there's going to be some interesting game title selection. I think, you'll see some of the last year we did great with the game titles we used, but I think this year you'll see some more of the big titles that we in eSports can relate to and understand a little better, as well as, maybe diversifying a little bit. Last year it was primarily Xbox with a little bit of Samsung mobile gaming thrown in there, and this year you're gonna get to see a little bit more cross-platform stuff. I think we'll be looking to do something PC-based for sure, and there's even talks about using some of those other consoles. So definitely going to be a hot season for season 2.
Let me ask this: for yourself, looking back at the first season, any big surprises, anything that at the end of the day you yourself were like, wow, that went a lot better than I thought, or I was really surprised at the results or the turnout? And if you could tie that into some of the feedback you've gotten after the show, that's going to help you on the second season, that would be great.
I think the thing, Jerry, that surprised me the most was the overall production quality. Like I mentioned the producers earlier, they are amazing. They've done amazing work in the past. The thing about them was they didn't have, just like anybody else, they didn't have any experience doing anything around gaming. They had no idea, God bless them, what gaming entailed and what the competitive scene was about. They came forward with a really fresh idea, which was nice. But the overall production of the actual show, the actual live challenges and the way they were able to bring in, celebrities. They brought in Lisa Leslie, which, is not a huge celebrity, but for the first season of the show, it's nice to see them really think outside the box and bring in higher level people to be a part of it, for the first season of the show. So I was really surprised with that aspect of it. The other thing that I was surprised, but more just pleasantly surprised about, I guess, was the way partners and sponsors really stepped up and became a part of it. Triton headsets and Dell Alienware and, of course, Samsung and Xbox and some of the publishers behind the games, they came in and just bought into it, and that's really what, you have to do in order for it to be a success. So that was probably the most pleasant surprise. To get to the second part of your question, I think, what we heard from the community, obviously, is, in gaming, everybody's a critic, which is always fun. But for the most part, we got a lot of positive feedback. And the feedback that wasn't positive, we were really able to do something with it and turn it around. And that's what's going to make season 2 so much better. But in terms of kind of the corporate expectations, ratings were solid enough to where Sci-Fi would actually open their doors and say, we want to do a second season. But in addition to that, the ratings were high enough that Samsung and WCG would take it on, as a second season and as another asset for World Cyber Games and move forward with another show. So, all around it was great. It was a way for WCG to diversify, and I'm glad and proud to be working on it. And I think, a lot of people in gaming, you mentioned VVV Miss Violence, and I love her, and she was amazing. I hated to see her go home, but you talk to her or almost any of the other contestants, and they're sort of trying to get on season 2. They had such a good time, and they really understood the significance of it and what it means for gaming. So I think it's been a real positive sort of asset for everybody.
Yeah, I know for a lot of people that are involved in gaming, one of the most important things is, breaking stereotypes, getting people to understand what esports is about. The past decade has been, really the emergence of competitive gaming, esports, and I think in some ways, compared to other countries, I think the United States, North America has been particularly slow on the uptake. culturally in absorbing it. And I know World Cyber Games obviously has great roots in South Korea. And I don't know how much you guys might talk about this, but what do you see as some of the things that would really help North American esports grow? And if you want to compare that to South Korean culture or something like that, I don't know how much you're aware of, that, but I really would be interested from the World Cyber Games perspective, especially since you have this great Olympic format, which really is about bringing gamers together from all over the world. What could help North America, per se, to compete better, just from your outside perspective?
The interesting thing about North America compared to South America and actually a lot of Asian cultures is, in North America we tend to look at major sports that have been around for 30, 40, or 50 years. And I know when I was growing up, my parents, they put a basketball in my crib, and a lot of people, they get that sort of treatment from their parents. In South Korea, they literally put a copy of StarCraft in their crib. I mean, that's how they start them at such a young age, and it's such I guess you could say it's an acceptable medium in Asia, whereas in North America, video games still, unfortunately, I freaking hate it. Video games still have this negative connotation, like it leads to a sedentary lifestyle and that it's bad for you and all this other nonsense. So I think the first thing that we need to do here in North America is at least embrace video games as a legitimate activity. It's more than just sitting and staring at a screen for hours. There's been lots of research, and I don't want to get too high on a soapbox here, but there's been lots of research that shows and proves, it helps with hand-eye coordination, dexterity, and aside from that, a lot of video games, they tell a story now. They can be supplement. I don't want to say that it's better for you than reading, but a lot of people use video games and games in general as learning tools. So I think the first thing North America needs to do is begin to embrace it. Now, from a competitive standpoint, from a gamer standpoint, mostly I think we just need to break down these walls, these exclusivity walls. Gaming, you know better than anybody that all of us in gaming are part of this exclusive group that is so afraid to kind of let it grow and let the outside world in. We don't want to get too corporate, and we don't want to sell out, and we don't want to do all these things. And in the meantime, we're sacrificing dollars and sacrificing, the image that we need in order to grow esports. So the next thing I think is we have to get rid of this sellout mentality of, losing our ability to game just because, some company thinks that it's a good outlet or a good marketing platform. And lastly, we really need to get to the point where corporations and the people out there with actual dollars are spending money on marketing and education. I mean, with WCG, and I'm sure, MLG and ESL and everybody has the same situation. We have people that come into our events that say, what is this all about? I would love to be a part of this. I would love to get my kids into this and that sort of thing. And part of that's my fault because I've done a bad job of maybe marketing the concepts. But in addition to that, I mean, part of it's just the fact that we don't have the dollars to do national campaigns and help people understand that there is, of course there's basketball tournaments and Pee-wee football and Little League baseball and all that, but there's also a lot of great video game outlets for kids and for adults as well to be a part of. So, the education thing is probably, where we need to start.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. It's funny because in my sort of professional life, in my day job, I work for a company called Accenture, and we use gaming all the time to train consultants. And so it's become part of the culture. Most people at my work know that, my hobby is VV gaming, and this is what, we're focused on. And I always sort of use the phrase, one day there's going to be a president and he or she is going to have an Xbox Live gamer tag. So, it is sort of the inevitability that it's going to fit in. But I think you touched on something really important. And I think for entrepreneurs like myself, this is the major difference between the World Cyber Games and some other leagues, is that you're very open and realize the value of having a rich entrepreneurial landscape to help supplement and promote what you're doing. Do you have an idea why, and this landscape of leagues and things has been also a graveyard for many organizations, unfortunately. What do you think makes some other organizations or companies less willing to work with the entrepreneurial landscape? And why do you think the World Cyber Games has, at least from my perspective, such a healthy mentality when it comes to that?
That's a great question. It's one of those things that it's really difficult to to say, which of us is successful and which of us is not. A lot of people, they see MLG and they think MLG is, the most successful thing ever, and maybe they are. I tend to see both sides of the coin. I understand, MLG's perspective, and at the end of the day, MLG is a league, and you look at any successful league ever, whether it was the NBA or the NFL, whatever it was, they worked very, very hard to make it so that no team or no player was bigger than the league itself. They can't have straight ripping be bigger than MLG itself. And because of that, I feel like MLG's really pulled the reins back a little bit on some of their success. I think on the other side of the coin, one of the problems that we have in that situation is that gaming is not where the NFL is. It's not where the NBA is. And in order to grow up, we need to act like grown-ups. We need to treat this landscape with a little bit of respect and work together. I mean, recently we had a run-in with MLG over a Halo 3 thing, and at the end of the day, we can't be fighting. At the end of the day, that alienates gamers. It doesn't help them to achieve anything. So I think the first thing we need to do is just make sure that we understand that our competitive advantage is not sponsor dollars. It's not the talent that the league hires. Our competitive advantage is the gamers themselves, and we need to embrace them and let them have a voice. Let them, be a part of esports as it grows. Not make sure that that they're not a part of the growth and that they're not a part of the opinion as to how we're going to grow. So I mean, I hate to sound so passionate or so ridiculous, but at the end of the day, I think, I would love nothing more than to see, even if it's MLG, but to see people like WCG and MLG and even some of the European leagues, see them grow up and be like the NBA or be like, Premier Cup soccer, that sort of thing. That's my goal. And I really think that at the end of the day, we can work together and achieve that. But right now we're so fragmented and so afraid that something's going to become bigger than the league itself that we're kind of afraid to take that next step forward.
I think the logical part of me and the business consultant me always says you can't put yourself in a position that the landscape doesn't support. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, gaming is not where NFL, NBA, and Major League Sports is. And to me, in these moments, I could understand that somebody's going to come along and say, if we're gonna work with all these sponsors, we obviously want to make sure that the brand identity of Major League Gaming gets protected and that we continue to grow and profit from what we're doing. And I couldn't imagine any team realistically being larger than Major League Gaming or, the World Cyber Games. But to kind of pin you on this, though, but World Cyber Games is not like that. You guys are not, you're not possessive. I've never had a problem where even being critical of something the World Cyber Games does, I can say that you and I have always had, in my opinion, a great professional relationship, and we can banter back and forth and, throw comments across, but it seems like we're both working to the same goal, and even Major League Gaming, I think, is working to that goal, but the cultural feel is completely different, especially, from our perspective here at VV Gaming. So why do you think that is?
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, Jerry, I see VVV sign, do a deal with SteelSeries or whatever, and I don't consider that a competition. I think that's great for gaming. That means somebody is spending marketing dollars on gaming, or somebody is providing product to gaming, and that's a supportive thing. I think it is absolutely ridiculous to show up to a tournament and make somebody take your headsets off or turn your T-shirts inside out. That is so ridiculous. If there are companies out there that are willing to sponsor VVV or MLG or WCG or whoever it is, that is good for gaming. And at the end of the day, I think WCG, they understand that what's good for gaming is good for WCG. Obviously, we really appreciate, you do a fantastic job, and VVV does a fantastic job of making sure players are able to get to events, and that there is some sort of community within a tournament. I mean, I'll take a little jab here. I'll be honest. The last couple of events we've done for WCG, we've had a couple of VVV teams that bail on us at the last second, but that's okay. But at the end of the day,
that's for those crappy Modern Warfare 2 games, isn't it, Paul?
That's exactly what it is. I knew you were going to say that. I knew that was coming.
You set me up, though. I had no choice.
I saw that one coming. But no, at the end of the day, I think there's no harm in, WCG making sure we want to get, your opinion or whoever it is. We want their opinion on game rules and settings and weapons and whatever the situation is, because we're not running this for ourselves. We're running this for the gamers. You know what I mean? This isn't about a dictatorship. This is definitely a democracy, and I think one of the things that that I've tried to do in my 4 years at WCG is make sure and let everybody know that I do not know it all. If I tried to write the rule set for every single game, I would fail. I want as much help as possible, because there's definitely going to be somebody out there that's better at Street Fighter than I am. There's definitely going to be Counter-Strike players out there that understand the game better than I do. So for me to come in and dictate a rule set or dictate, what you can wear to our events, that is never going to help with the success of gaming and WCG in general.
I couldn't agree with you more. And speaking of events, let's talk about something I think that's awesome for everyone when it was announced. Los Angeles this year, host city. That's awesome. Two things. One, how is it that, the World Cyber Games decides what the host city is? Then tell us, some things about Los Angeles this year, because I think that's awesome.
Cool. So the one of the coolest things you mentioned this a while ago, WCG is an Olympic model format. So that goes down all the way to where the grand final event is, just like the Summer Olympics or the Winter Olympics, bid out Vancouver or Russia or Brazil or wherever. WCG does the same thing, where there's an RFP process where, we send it out and certain cities show interest. There's, not at the level of the real Olympics or with the Super Bowl, but there's obviously a major economic factor to bringing a big gaming event to the city. So, we send out an RFP and different cities bid, and we make a choice based on the kind of package that they come back with. In other words, what's the infrastructure like? What kind of IT know-how do they have? Are they going to provide municipal support? All the way down to the venue and the hotel that's going to be used for the Players Village. And again, even though we're not the Olympics, a lot of cities are actually interested in this cool factor type event and bringing this type of thing, this type of festival to their city. And this year we actually, being the 10th year anniversary and WCG trying to blow things up in North America a little bit, LA was the city that came to us and was able to say, we really like to do this. And we've just now started putting together some of our production plans and some of our ideas, but it's going to be amazing. I think last year we were in China, and I know some of your guys are there. I know Smokey Prague was a part of Team USA, and I think you guys, you had VVV Mix was with us playing FIFA, but in China it was incredible. 82,000 people came through the doors and watched a gaming event, and that's going to be tough to top. But WCG is definitely doing some things we're talking about, and this is still kind of preliminary, but we're talking about doing some casting calls for season 3 at the actual event, of Ultimate Gamer. So we've definitely got some things in mind to fill the seats, and we're just looking for some other things to do around LA that can help tie the city into the event. So I think it's always going to be hard to top the kind of numbers we saw in China last year, but we're definitely gonna take a stab at it.
No, I think that again, especially in Asia, they're just culturally a step ahead of us when it comes to these big gaming events. I think there's just more media coverage, but I think for us having it here this year, the 10th anniversary of the World Cyber Games, as well as a tie into the Ultimate Gamer, I don't think you'll get the numbers either, to be honest, but it could be a huge boon to set up, the next several years by really getting the word out there about what World Cyber Games is, competitive gaming, and what the whole culture of gaming is really about, especially internationally. So I think that's really cool. Would you say, though, that does the host city affect the game selection process after you sort of decided the host city? How does the game selection process work? Because I know there's a poll, and we always let everybody know about that. And, I know that you take the community input as part of it, educate the average gamers, because I think you probably get a lot of flack for your game choices. I hear people that ask me all the time, well, you talk to Paul Brewer, can't you? And I said, I'm a small fish in this big pond, trust me. Their force is greater than us. But I want to give you a chance to tell gamers out there, so educate them a little bit so they can be a bit more sympathetic and less critical about the complex nature of what actually ends up being the title selection.
Well, I'm glad that you asked about that. That's actually a really good question, a really important topic, I think, for people to know more about. The initial part of your question, the host city does have some effect on the game selection. Generally speaking, it's more about the country that it's in. There's certain titles, maybe certain publishers, or, in some cases, certain platforms that are just more popular. Right now, I say this kind of hesitantly, but right now Xbox is still where the majority of gamers are in the United States. So with that being said, WCG definitely had to kind of step it up from the few Xbox games we had last year to include some more Xbox this year. And then so the overall selection process, I don't want to say it's complicated, but there are a lot of different factors that go into it. It's not just a matter of, I love this game, so let's use it as an official title in the World Cyber Games. I think the most important thing that gamers need to understand, especially North American gamers, is that it's not always about the popularity of the game just in the United States. It needs to have some sort of global recognition. There are lots of games out there that are huge in this country and just don't have any legs in 78 other countries that WCG is in, and vice versa. There might be some games out there in China or wherever that are huge that none of us have even heard of here in the States. We used Redstone the last couple of years, and I'll be honest, I never even heard of the game until I got a memo from my headquarters saying Redstone was going to be a title. And, it obviously had like 5 gamers here in the States playing it at first. And, in China or in some of these other countries, in Korea, there's thousands and tens of thousands of players playing some of these games. So the first thing is obviously the global popularity. The other thing that we look at is the size of the competitive community, not necessarily the community, because just because you're on Xbox Live doesn't mean you're part of the competitive scene. There's over 1 million people on Xbox Live, and all of those people are not playing MLG or WCG. They might be playing XBL, but they're not playing in tournaments. So we have to factor in, how many people are actually playing in Counter-Strike tournaments or how many people are actually playing in StarCraft tournaments. Another factor that's always weighed somewhat is what sort of history the game has with WCG. Warcraft 3 and StarCraft, Counter-Strike, and for a long time, we were big with the PGR series, and we originally did Halo before MLG even existed. So there are lots of games that have a history with WCG that get chosen, just because they're a franchise title and that they have some legs, within the past. And then, there's always that question, does the game itself lend itself to competition? I've had lots of players, email me or whatever and say, why don't you choose Legend of Zelda? And it's like, we can't do Legend of Zelda. You can't compete on that game. It's not set up for a LAN tournament or an online tournament. It's just not set up for that. So that, you have to look at a game and say, can I compete? And, we've tried to be creative with some games. We ran a small tournament here in the States on DJ Hero. Now, I personally think that game's set up just like, Guitar Hero or anything else. It's set up great for a competition, but some people might not see that. So you definitely need to make sure that the game is not just this boring, kind of sometimes a role-playing game or whatever.
I just want to throw one thing in there. We've just in the process of hosting a DJ Hero tournament, and I know they've announced DJ Hero 2, and I think over time this game will grow. I mean, the video I just watched today that came from our most recent, one of our winter bracket round play, this is one of those things that in the right culture of gaming, I think it's fun to watch, interesting, and challenging. So I think with time, just like with Guitar Hero, it wasn't until the later evolutions of Guitar Hero that it got really popular. I think we might see the same thing in DJ Hero.
You know what, and I actually agree with you. I think that kind of goes back to my first point. in the States, DJ Hero is huge, and I'm sure the international sales numbers, at least where Xbox is and maybe PlayStation, I'm sure the numbers are pretty significant. I think that form of game, the actual DJ form of game, I don't think it's actually translated yet in Korea and some of the other countries that WCG's in. I know that the poll, when each of us sent, WCG USA and WCG Germany and everybody, when we originally sent some of our priorities back, DJ Hero was on my list. After seeing, the results of that poll, a lot of countries still, not only do they not have access to the hardware yet, but they don't, it doesn't really translate, they don't have the Eminem and the Jay-Z commercials in their country, so they don't get it yet. But you know what, Jerry, I completely agree. I think eventually, as the game builds in popularity, and there was a point in time when Guitar Hero 1 probably didn't have any legs, and now we're on our 5th version. They've had all kinds of spin-offs with Metallica and whoever. Now it's one of the most popular games in the world, and I think DJ Hero will get there. And when it does, WCG is, we have to take a look at it. It's not a matter of, we can consider it. I think we have to use a game like that because it's actually great to watch. I think, it really lends itself to competition. So, don't worry, my friend. We'll get there.
No, that's good. I noticed that you guys added on your site, you must have gotten a lot of heat for not announcing StarCraft and I think FIFA. And I'll tell you what gamers are saying on the street. There's a lot of this kind of conversation where some are saying, could it be possible they'll have StarCraft 2? Major League Gaming has announced that they're going to revolutionize PC. Are they trying to get out on the StarCraft action? What can you share with us about the second round coming up? Or at least why you put that disclaimer out there?
It's interesting that Korea and WCG decided to go this kind of route this time. We've never done more than one round of game announcements. Once in a while, we might have a promotional title that gets added later. So it's definitely interesting. And the only thing I can say, where the community is concerned, is just be patient. It's a long year, and we're definitely considering all the options. With the second round, you hit it right on the head with the two main titles that were not there, FIFA and StarCraft. I think that definitely needs to be addressed, and it will be addressed, in the next round, the next announcements. What it is that a lot of people, I think, don't understand is that there's a major, unfortunately, a major business behind the official titles. And, there's all kinds of licensing rights and that sort of thing. But also, when you're talking financial support from a publisher, from a developer, and, the proper usage and the rights to use the game and the logos and everything appropriately, there's a lot of I's that need to be dotted and T's that need to be crossed. And sometimes it takes time, and we have a team of people who work, for the most part on that. And sometimes, publishers are just kind of hesitant and they've got their own things going on, so they can't devote every minute to WCG and our official titles. But yeah, StarCraft 2 is definitely kind of thrown a cog, with nobody really fully understanding when that game is going to be released. It's definitely thrown kind of a wrench into everybody's plans. And I saw, what you're talking about with MLG, I saw them starting to do some stuff with the StarCraft 2 beta. It's definitely interesting. I don't know how it's going to play out. I know, they've done some stuff with World of Warcraft in the past, mostly online, and I honestly don't know how successful it's been for them. That's obviously one of the biggest PC titles in the world, and so it definitely gives them a relationship with Blizzard. So it'll be interesting, but at the same time, don't sleep on WCG because we've got a very long-standing relationship with Blizzard, and at the end of the day, I think we've done right by them and they've done right by us. So we're kind of all waiting to see how it fleshes out, but all StarCraft players and FIFA players don't get too upset yet. Just relax.
Well, that's good to know because both are great titles, and I think, obviously a lot of gamers always get very anxious when their favorite game isn't around because, as I said earlier, that, a lot of things are littered, sort of a graveyard. And I know your time is precious, Paul, so I want to wrap up on a couple final questions. And one question is, understanding that's what's good for the World Cyber Games is good for gaming. Understanding that that's also been our mentality here at VV Gaming, why we do the articles, why we do these podcasts. What's, from the gamer's perspective, our model has always been if we can't generate eSports fans, then it doesn't matter how many great players we can amass and collect and salary. no one's going to watch them. So that's why I think we approached it much differently. I'll give you a chance always to be critical, and, we're always, what could VV Gaming do better? What is, and outside of having our Modern Warfare 2 team not drop out of that's off the table. We're not going to do that. But outside of that, what do we do well? What could we do better? Because it's always good to see, because I think, again, working toward the same thing, this is good for everyone. Because I think we give a gamer a great identity instead of just being, a gamer from North America. Obviously, everybody wants to have a bit of their own identity, I think, and something that makes them stand out from other people. I think VV Gaming provides that. But I'm always interested in hearing what we could do better, or what is working well and good for the World Cyber Games.
I only know what I hear. You and I have only, pretty much maintained a professional relationship. We haven't really discussed too much about the intricacies of what VVV provides. But honestly, I don't have too much criticism for any of the clans and least of all VVV. I think if I could say anything, keep getting your guys to events, keep getting them that experience on LAN and making sure that they're playing and open your door, just like WCG opens its doors to everybody who wants to play. Open your doors to everybody who wants to be a part of it. And I'm not necessarily saying sponsor everybody and send everybody in the world to events, but I think you've done a great job of making sure that if there's somebody out there that wants to be a part of a community, that VVV is a community that you can be a part of. You don't have to be the best Halo player in the world playing for Straight Rippin' in order to be a part of a professional gaming scene. You can be a part of gaming, by being with VVV. So I think, it's not criticism. It's more, just a plea more than anything. Please continue to do what you've been doing and send people to events and show support for sponsors. I think we could all do a much better job of being better brand ambassadors for our partners and for our sponsors. I think we had a clan, and I'm not going to call them out by name. It was not VVV. We had a clan last year come to a couple of our events, and they have Turtle Beach logos on all of their gear and everything. And then some of their kids are wearing Astro headsets, and some are wearing Sennheiser, and that makes a sponsor so angry. I think if you're part of VVV and you're sponsored by Dr. Pepper or whoever, don't be caught with a Mountain Dew in your hand. You know what I mean? So we all need to be a lot better and respectful towards our sponsors. And part of that is you educating your guys. Part of it's WCG making sure everybody understands that that's important. But mostly it's just gamers growing up and understanding that if they want to continue to see events and continue to see these fun things going on, they need to realize that somebody's got to pay for it. And I think that starts with VVV and whoever and WCG as well. So great job, and please continue to do what you've been doing.
Well, thank you so much for that feedback, Paul. I want to give you a chance. Any shout-outs? Any last things you want to throw out there?
I think I'll end just by thanking you for inviting me to come and talk a little bit about WCG, and I hope we can do it again sometime. I look forward to it.
Sounds great, Paul. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, everyone, this is Paul Brewer from World Cyber Games, and it's been a pleasure to do this interview. Let's talk a little bit about what you want to do in the future of gaming. Like, if you had an ideal world, what do you want to do in gaming? And why don't we start with Kelly? Kelly, you've been a personality in gaming. You've been an Ultimate Gamer. You are obviously a part of eSports, a part of gaming culture. You've written your name in the history books as soon as you became a contestant on Ultimate Gamer. But what do you want for the future? What would be your ideal job in eSports? What do you see yourself wanting to do?
I've hopped and skipped and jumped from career to career, and it's really kind of annoying. But honestly, with the place that I'm in right now, aka 5 minutes away from the Epic studio, I really would love to forward my career in the marketing division, but with Epic Games, because they are ideally my favorite developer, to work with them and to market with them and market their products and be with the fans and basically be a spokesmodel with them. That would possibly be my dream job. Of course, I'd love to be Bill Gates, but I'll settle for a spokesmodel.
I think I can see now. Now, tell me if you guys see this too. It's closing time. It's been a late night at work. It's 7 o'clock on a warm North Carolina night. and out comes Cliffy B driving a convertible with Kelly in the passenger seat. Do you see this? Do you guys see what I'm talking about here?
I can see it.
I wish.
Sure.
Or it could be the other one that they decide that, you know what, we're going to put her in Gears of War 3 as a character.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Who wouldn't want to?
voiceovers.
Who wouldn't want to chainsaw someone with Kelly as their character?
That's
Wait,
what I'm saying. Can you imagine if they combined Kelly's avatar with my chainsaw ability? Come on. Seriously. No?
So she'd die every time?
Ouch.
You are
Ouch.
not funny.
That hurt.
You know, even I've killed Jerry before in Gears of War, so
Teammates too. That doesn't say anything.
Oh, snap.
Nothing at all. Nobody wants to hear it. So, Ryan, what about you?
Well, I've probably been preaching about this for a long time now. I really want to get into, a big part of LAN competitions, the competitive side of esports. I really want to be involved in either running tournaments, developing a tournament, something along the lines of that, because I'm a very competitive person. I just want to see other people succeed in a game, or, just watch people play a game and compete to win, to be the top dog in a game, win prizes. Just call me Cliffy B. What?
No. I think you got a point there, though. Well, look, the nice part is I think that there's a lot of opportunity here for that, because, I think the World Cyber Games is going to grow. Either Major League Gaming is going to succeed or fail, and if they succeed, they'll need more staff to grow, or they're going to fail, and that provides opportunities for other entrepreneurs. So, I think all of that's good, and I agree with you. I think that's always an exciting place to be, is running tournaments, which, Jason, you've been running tournaments. But what do you want to do long term? Tournaments also? And
Definitely.
By the way, give us an update on the DJ Hero tournament since you're here.
as of this recording right now, we're just starting the third round of the winners and the third round of the losers bracket. The losers bracket. But 4 interviews up on the VVV site right now with the top 4 seeds. Please feel free to go check those out. We have some really amazing personalities that are still left in the tournament. Really good people. I've actually had the chance to talk to all of them. They seem like really good guys. It's awesome. Really good way to grow esports. But the whole tournament's going great. There's a couple of matches actually up on the VVV Gaming YouTube channel. Feel free to go check those out as well. In regards to what I would like to do, I'm very similar in position to where Ryan would like to be, just because I think I've got a little bit of that tournament running background, and I'd love to put that to use, whether it be with WCG, whether it be with MLG if they get things corrected, or if, who knows, maybe down the line there'll be another league/organization out there that I'll be able to run tournaments for. I'd love to put all of my experience to good use and really help grow esports into a huge market, so to say.
For myself, I've thought a lot about going to investors and saying, you know what, this is where we are currently in North America. I think we can do this. And I think, as Paul Brewer mentioned in his interview, we have a lot to do to get gaming culture mainstream. And I think that's where VV Gaming, I think we do a good job. We really help people be a part of esports without all that elitism. I'm just going to throw this out there because I don't listen to the show, but a lot of the old esports guard, the Counter-Strike 1.6 teams, the old organizations, they were elitist. They were kind of like bottled in their own world, and nobody cared. And to be honest, there weren't that many of them actually winning money. But it was like there was a small elite group that knew all the Counter-Strike players and knew, StarCraft in South Korea and knew some things about Warcraft in Europe and then on to China. And what they do is they forget that most people don't give a shit anymore. Right? Nobody cares. And I think our experience with gaming through VV Gaming has been much more mainstream. Look at Kelly with Ultimate Gamer. These are the things that definitely are hitting a wider audience. What do you think, Perilous? How did you first come to MLG? Was it through Gears of War?
It was. Actually, I had no idea what MLG was. My friend, 2 months before the event, I think it was 2 weeks after Gears of War came out, he was like, hey, dude, you should pick this game up. You're decent at video games. Play this with me, and we'll go to this MLG event. We ended up going to a local LAN first, where we got second, and decided to continue on going to MLG. We went to MLG Dallas in 2007, where I probably had my best event ever, and it just sucked because we just missed out on placing into the getting known, quote-unquote, era of gaming. To be honest, that's when I first saw Jerry Prohaska here coaching Vision and stomping on the ground. And I've always had a coach that was so passionate about what we were doing always. At that moment, I knew I kind of had to be involved with VVV after that. It was kind of destiny almost. It was weird.
Yeah, when did I meet you, Kelly? Was it Chicago?
Negative, sir. It was MLG Meadowlands 2007.
You were in the Halo group there, weren't you? Following at that time?
I did a little bit of both or all three, technically. I played Halo 2 competitively online, and then I switched over to Rainbow Six because I'm a lot better at realistic first-person shooters than I was at Halo 2. But at Meadowlands, I actually competed in Rainbow, and it was just kind of like a instantaneous event for me. But then I watched all of VVV Gaming and Vision win the entire event, and I was like, okay, so time for a third-person shooter, so I went to third-person, and about a month later, I applied to VVV Gaming.
And then Perilous Ryan, you found Jason Paradise when he was looking for Guitar Hero players, weren't we?
That was in my young days of console manager. I found him on Game Battles. I messaged him and spoke with him. He actually sounded like a real person, not just like, yeah, man, I'll join that, yeah. No, he was normal.
It's so funny how that happened too, because
Oh boy.
Oh man, it was actually on my birthday that I was just like, man, I feel like playing some Guitar Hero and kicking some ass today, so Game Battles has a lot of really horrible players. Let's go see what happens. And I went 50-0. And that's when Ryan messaged me because I was in number 1, and the rest is history, so to say.
So, I want to thank Paul Brewer for coming on the show. It was really awesome.
Look, hold on. One, I already thanked Paul Brewer, all right? I don't know how many thank yous he needs, but I think before we do anything else, I got to get something that's been on my mind just way, way off my chest. I know you're waiting. Look at you. You're all waiting, aren't you? You know what upsets me? Is people that don't read. You know how important reading is? Reading is one of those things that allows me to tell you something without me being there. And in case you miss it, I don't like people. Most of you suck. You're stupid. I ended up doing something really cool in my life. I ended up becoming a nuclear engineer. I went to graduate school at the University of Chicago, and I've been, as a consultant, working out of my home because my work fucking rocks. That's me. But for all of that intelligence, somebody didn't warn me of one thing. I'd have to put up with stupid people. And you know what lazy is? Lazy is when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to get sponsored. And I say, great, look at this thread. They're like, yeah, but are you interested? Look at the goddamn thread. That's why it's there. That's why I put it up there. 14 countries, 25,000 plus people every month. I don't have time to answer your question. Don't aim me. Don't contact me. Stop it. Read. And if you don't want to read, some things we've been kind enough to put into an audio recording so you can listen to it while you drool on your fucking keyboard because you are a rock. With that being said, I'd like to encourage all of you to do something. Think about your school, think about your grades, and ask yourself a question. Am I a straight A student? And then ask yourself, am I a straight A student because I don't try or because I don't know the material? If you're getting bad grades, I want you to think seriously about your future. You know all those people who live in trailer homes and are kind of at dead-end jobs? They didn't plan to be there. They were just like you. They had dreams. They wanted to do things with their life. They liked to talk about who was pretty. But you know what? They ended up doing nothing. So if you hear my voice and you come to me and you ask me a question and I send you a link, read, please.
We have a couple emails and voicemails we have to share for you guys. Finally, you guys are emailing us. We love feedback, so keep it coming, guys. Cauterize, Jared Savage, emails us saying, I love the show, guys. Keep the quality stuff rolling.
Yeah, Jared, and if you want to be on the show, since you are the first person to follow those instructions, we'll remember the fact that you emailed us. Also, I think we got a voicemail in, didn't we?
I believe we do. If we can go ahead and play that.
Hello, this is to Lord Jared from the Losers Bracket. I'm Royal Lance. I just wanted to say, never, ever do a podcast without one of your rants. That's like the best part of the show. Do at least one rant every episode. Seriously. They're epic. Bye.
Well, let me thank you for that comment right there. Let me tell you something. You want to listen to the very end, because what happened last time is it was part of the bonus audio. Go back to episode 7, go to the end, you'll find my rant. Thank you for your great feedback, though, and I will keep on ranting. Do not worry.
Jerry has a lot of bitterness in him. We call him Bitter Betty, actually.
Kill yourself.
All right, well, we'd always love to thank the Gamers Garage for helping us put on the show. You know, couldn't do it without them. We'd love to thank the VVV sponsors, Steel Series, Control Freak, Music Skins, and, of course, Custom Ink. As always, how could we ever forget about the VVV community? You're the reason why we do this, because you're the listeners, and we also have other listeners as well, but we personally have attachments to the VVV community. We do this because of you guys. Thank you so much.
Well, be sure to stop over at thegamersgarage.com. I tell everybody this all the time. There are great shows on there that you can get on iTunes, on Zune Network. They have an RSS feed, so thegamersgarage.com. And that's also a way you can find out how to follow this show. Facebook, MySpace, Twitter. You can also follow any of the shows that are on the Gamers Garage. Also, you can leave us feedback like Cauterize did. A shout out again, Cauterize. Or a voicemail, as you heard tonight, 206-350-7352. And the email address for those that want to leave us feedback is mailbag@thegamersgarage.com. If you want to be on the show, I tell you this all the time, leave us a voicemail, send us an email, mailbag, mailbag, @thegamersgarage.com. I want to thank Paul Brewer. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank the VV community. Everybody have a just great day.